Welcome to Westside Discussion, the first and only podcast dedicated to Westside discs. My name is Jay. This is episode 1. Thanks so much for joining us. And today I'm joined by Chris Zagone. Chris has been on Team Westside for 4 years. He's finishing up his first year touring full time. He's also the creator of the Perfect Putt 360 app. Chris, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for coming on. I don't want to bury the lead. You've had an exciting weekend.
Yeah. We've been in the New England states for the better part of a month now, and played a little tournament in Farmington, Maine. 72 players, only a handful of open players and pro masters, but I was able to take down the win, which was, huge. It's so hard to win a tournament anywhere you go, and that has proven to be the case here in the New England states as well. There's a lot of really good golfers up here.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Congratulations, man.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Tell us about the event. I did look at the box score there. Got an eagle, right?
Yeah, I think if what I saw was correct, I was the only eagle of the weekend across all divisions. The course was very, very I don't want to say stereotypical, but very much the design of New England disc golf, where it's like elevation and a lot of rock face, and there were rock walls that are kind of similar to what you see at like GMC or Maple Hill. And so you had to stay away from those because they were OB. You had to carve lines through the woods. So I was leaning heavy on my TP stag to kind of, hit those like long turnover lines and to just hold it all the way. And that's what it was. I think it was like a 425-foot hole, and I went with the stag and
Nice.
put it to within 18 feet to get the two. And that was kind of the turning point of the tournament for me. Scott Walsh is a great player from up here. He was actually played Maine States almost a month ago. He snuck up the last round and nudged me out of second place. And so he's a good player. He and I were both 2 down through 4. And then I took back-to-back bogeys to give him a little cushion. So I took the eagle. No, yeah. I had to have fun with it, right? But no, I took the eagle and he took a 5 there. So there was a 3-stroke swing right there. And so every hole that he bogeyed, I was able to capitalize with a birdie on. So there was 2 more 2-stroke swings in there to kind of give me a little bit of cushion going in the second round. So it was fun. The course was really, really fair. You had to kind of have all the shots, a lot of sidearm, a lot of kind of flexy stuff that I threw my warships on, where you're kind of trying to carve through some shorter stuff. Shield was doing work. Gatekeepers were doing work. They not a lot of need for really high speed disc on that course.
Right. All right. Well, cool, man. That's awesome. Congratulations again. It's very cool. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I'm excited to kind of get to know you a little bit. I've been following Team Westside and reporting for Westside Discs this year, so I feel like I kind of know you a little bit, but now I can really get to know you. Before we dive into that, though, I just want to give a thank you to a sponsor, Mando Discwear. They have a great line of apparel, hats, shades, and Mando joggers made specifically for disc golf. They have zipper pockets, a place for your mini, and even a clip for a towel. They even have their own well sack. So check them out on mandodiscwear.com. Use code WSD10, that's WSD10 at checkout and save 10% on your order. So, all right, Chris, so I guess we can go with the standard disc golf podcast format and start with how long you've been in disc golf. What got you started? How long have you been playing?
Okay. This is my 22nd year playing. I started playing in like 98, 99, and then played my first tournament in 2000. And it was, I'm from Louisiana, so there was a tour back then, and it still exists. It was the Southern Nationals Tour, which kind of was, I wouldn't say competing with, but it was more dominant in the South than the PDGA Tour back then. So, like, I didn't get my number until 2007 because I was going to play a tournament in Oklahoma that was an A tier and you had to have it. So a lot of the people that I learned how to play from have like numbers in like the 18, thousands and stuff.
Right.
So they got really low numbers. So, but yeah, no, it was something that just kind of, at first it was like I was all standstill and I could throw almost 300 feet from a standstill. So I didn't even really mess with an X step very much, but, it was something that I picked up fairly fast. And so, as I traveled, I moved off to Denver and other places across the country. I played golf in all these different places and learned a little bit everywhere. So, but it wasn't probably until 2007 that I got like really serious about, moving up from advanced to open. And took my licks like everybody does. And it
Right.
took a while of just kind of getting your butt handed to you. And the prodigy thing kind of came along. And then I started playing anywhere from like 27 to 31 tournaments a year, um, just trying to get as much experience as I could. And yeah, I don't know, just one thing kind of leads to another, which leads me to whenever I ended up with Westside, which was just like another stepping stone, um, I guess, in my disc golf career, which now I'm starting to get to the ending parts of my first full season on the road, and it's just kind of crazy. You never think these kind of things are going to happen until you're like right there, and it's just like, wow.
So what you mentioned, the prodigy? What was the prodigy thing?
Okay, so I was so like I was really active in my club, and I was like the vice president. We did a lot of great things, but our club was just going through a lot of turnover, and a lot of like difference of opinions. So I kind of just got away from disc golf and got into like distance running for a while. And so I did like half marathons and that kind of stuff. And then I like fractured my foot twice in a 5 years period doing that. So I ended up going back to disc golf. And at that point, like we're talking probably 7 or 8 years ago. So like Prodigy was still kind of like becoming a thing. And dynamic disc was already starting to take root. And so everybody was going the DD route. So I started throwing some Prodigy disc and playing a lot of Southern tournaments where, Prodigy is based out of Tennessee, and you have Michael Gibney, who was out of Alabama. And so they were starting a new, um, I guess, like promotional team, and they were
Hmm.
going to use the Prodigy Street team. And so, like, I was one of the first four people to get an invite there, and it was, a great opportunity to, build your brand and have an opportunity to work with a manufacturer. So, I was all about it. So I went from your regular mixed bag to a full Prodigy bag for a while, and I did that for almost 4 full seasons.
Did you go directly from prodigy to Westside, or what that look like?
Yeah, so the opportunity from Westside showed itself because of the recommendation of some close friends of mine that were working closely with Dynamic Disc, and so the opportunity showed itself to make a move to Westside, which I didn't expect to happen. It came kind of, I don't know. You don't really expect to kind of make a move in the middle of the season, but um, it just made a lot of sense. And it was just really, really interesting to kind of have to learn a bag mid-season. But it didn't take very long because the discs are just very, very, I don't know, they're very consistent and they're very easy to throw. You don't really have to overpower them. And I felt like with a lot of stuff when the Prodigy lineup back then, like I said, we're talking many moons ago. Everything was considerably overstable, even like the F7s and stuff. So I enjoyed the less effort for more flight. I'm there for that every time.
So you changed your bag twice, and you went from a mixed bag to prodigy, and then prodigy to Westside. So that wasn't too much of a trouble then, just like changing that up.
Well, no, I mean, the beauty of it is if any of the trilogy teams, you're able to throw anything across that trilogy umbrella. So Latitude, Dynamic Disc, and Westside. So um, if you can't find something across those three brands that fits what you're looking for, then it doesn't exist. They cover
Right.
everything, you know. So this is probably the first year that I've been more Westside centric with my bag. You know, just because I figure I want to do everything I can with this opportunity that I have and traveling to promote the Westside brand as much as I can. Um, so you know, there's things that I've kind of taken out. I'd probably say aside from maybe four molds, pretty much everything is Westside this year.
Okay. So that's one thing we're hearing from, any of the players from any of the teams. They do talk about one of the nice flexibility of being able to pick that. But is there ever any like pressure that you hear um, from anyone to go more one side? Like if you're on Team West Side, is there any pressure from that or for Latitude?
No, I mean that's the thing about being Westside is that we're 50-50 owned by Dynamic and Latitude, so there's really not going to be any pressure from either side. But and there's nothing in our contract that says that we need to be throwing a certain percentage. But I mean, I feel like again, both of those brands do a phenomenal job of promoting their brands, and with that takes a lot of time and energy. So they may not have the resources to really put it towards Westside. So if I can help do that in any kind of way, um, then that's kind of been my personal motivation for doing it. Is I'm like, look, these are really good discs, and
Hmm.
I've talked with other like Nico. We've sat and talked about how great discs like the Stag and other discs are that maybe just don't get a lot of promotion because not a lot of people are like openly throwing them, but like they're really really good discs, and they're working on things like the adder for people that like a really good overstable power driver and things like that. So again, the Warship, the Stag, the Hatchet are all three brand new additions to my bag this year that like I can't imagine like not having them anymore. They're absolutely staples.
Now you mentioned the adder, so I do have to ask: is there any inside info about when that's coming out?
Mm,
Anything
I
you can
don't
share
know.
with us?
I don't know. I wish I could. I know that it's been discussed that the version 2 for Team Series, which has just started to trickle out with the Latitude stuff. So that's Albert Tom and Emerson and Johnny McRae. And all those were released in a gold X plastic, which is like basically Fusion X or TPX. And so we're supposed to see an adder in the TPX. So stand by on that. If
All
that's the
right.
case, having felt the plastic from the Gold X is going to be a very stiff adder.
You mentioned the contract, and I'm sure it's going to be different for each player. But would you mind sharing just so folks can kind of have like an inside peek, like what goes in, like what's in the contract, like what are responsibilities for you as a sponsored player?
Oh yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, obviously there's different levels of incentives for each player depending on ratings and social media presence and a number of different um, like factors. So um, I mean, everybody gets a disc allotment, so to speak, at least to my understanding, and there's a clothing allotment to help with the promotional things. And then, I think in this day and age, there's a certain level of uh, expectation with social media where they want to see, posts and recaps of tournaments and things like that. And then there's, with that comes, hashtags and things like that that need to be used so that you can just maximize your reach. Um, there's also the just like obviously uh, throwing all Trilogy brand, using Trilogy bags, using and wearing the clothing that's provided for any kind of tournaments and local leagues or any of that kind of stuff. So just basically doing your best job to be a walking billboard, like just a constant representation of the brand, no matter where you are, especially doing, full-time touring where people are constantly, you're around other disc golfers all the time. We're all trying to do our best to promote the brands the best we can.
You mentioned before, you're talking about Westside, how that opportunity presented itself. And one of the things with Westside Discs is that there's a big like fan base for it. And the fans of Westside Discs love Westside Discs. Their goal was to get sponsored. And for you, you said the kind of opportunity presented itself. What kind of advice would you give of someone who wants to be sponsored by Westside Discs? What are some steps they can take? Again, knowing that every journey is going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that, like you said, the fans are probably, in my opinion, across the three, are the most uh, dedicated across all three brands. They love the discs. They I mean, I see the posts all the time where people asking when we're going to get our restock, and it's coming. I can promise you. Just from having, traveling around the country and running events, and constantly getting shipments made, there's more and more Westside stuff filling up the bins. So we're getting really close to it. The crazy thing is, as soon as we drop something on the website, the fans are so crazy that they buy it all up. It's just gone. And, that's great. It's great. But,
Right.
back to your question. Number one is be like a good person, because like it comes down to character above all else. You can win all the tournaments you want and have the highest rating in the world, but if you're not a good person and you're not likable, you're probably not going to get sponsorship. It's just not good for the brand. So be a good person, play a lot of tournaments. The more tournaments you're at, the more opportunities you're at, have a chance to be in front of the people that need to see you performing and interacting with other people in a positive way. And the more opportunities that you have to do that, then the better that's going to be for you, to get noticed. Also, we talked about the social media presence. If you're making posts, make sure you use like all the proper Westside hashtags, dynamic disc hashtags, so that your stuff pops up, because those guys definitely pay attention to it. You may not think they do, but they have people that's their job.
Right.
But also suggest being very active in your local community. So that means helping out with tournaments, helping out with leagues, volunteering your time for work days, anything that's going to help build your disc golf resume, to when people ask, do you know this guy? They're going to say, yeah, this guy does ABC. You know what I mean? Like, so, um, if you get the opportunity to, without, making sure everything's good with your local league. If you run like a disc golf, the USAM Match Play Championship or a Trilogy Challenge, anything that would help promote those brands, that's going to work in your favor.
All right. Good advice. Good advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take a quick break to thank another sponsor, Champ Cap by Putt Confidently. If you've been following along the Westside Discussion Instagram, you've seen the DG Weekly Putting Challenge. I was using the new putting tool called the Champ Cap by Putt Confidently. It's a great new tool coming out later this year. It has 4 different size holes to really help you zero in your putting. You can follow them on Instagram at Putt Confidently, so you can stay up to date on when that will be coming out, so you can get your own. It's a pretty exciting tool. Speaking of putting tools, the Perfect Putt 360. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Okay. So that that became my baby in 2016, where it existed in a PDF form long before that. And I was like, so my brother is an app developer, software developer, like genius. He's a guru. He's been great at this stuff for as long as I can remember. So I just was trying to get him to get on board with helping me make this app. So we made the app. we made like a base version where it like, it scored everything, but it didn't save anything. It was just very, very basic. Um, and it did really well. I mean, we had, I don't know, probably 1,000 downloads in the first week and a half. So like we decided we were going to have to kind of beef it up and take it to where it like saved scores and you had player profiles and like number of different things. So we put that version out pretty quickly. And I mean, like I say, it's been a slow and steady climb for the better part of, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And then COVID happened. Um, Everybody was stuck at home.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Tyler Brickley from DGA, which does disc golf comedy, super funny guy. He reached out and wanted to do what he called the putt in place challenge because everybody was told to shelter in place, and it was just kind of a collaboration of Perfect Putt 360 and the DGA to where like if you did the things that were listed on the challenge, it had your name thrown into a drawing, and we did a number of different giveaways, and at the end the winner was going to win a basket and like all different things. And so um it kind of took off, and then Brody Smith made a video and it took off from there, and then Paul Macbeth made a video where he was the first person to ever score a perfect score on the game on film, and it took off from there. So anything that Paul does turns to gold.
Right. That's huge.
It was crazy. It's been a fun year.
That was an app I was using before I started doing the covering for Westside discs, and then I saw some post that you made talking about that. I had to double take and read it again. I was like, wait, what? This is Chris? This is Chris's thing? That's so cool.
No, that's kind of been by design. I'd rather people be a fan of the app than a fan of me. You know what I mean? So I've never been like a huge this is my thing just because I don't know. That's not what I'm like going after.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's cool. So this is your first full year touring. It's coming to an end, right? How many more weeks do you have left?
Well, okay, we have the 501 in Massachusetts coming up, and then there's a possibility of another tournament coming up in Connecticut or just south of that, and then um, the Bud Hill Masters is the middle of October, and then I'm going home after that. So I'll be back in Louisiana for 2 or 3 weeks, and then probably going to the Dallas Fort Worth area to just do a little work and during the off season and continue to compete with some high level athletes. To stay sharp, getting ready to go back out and do it again in February. So
So you already made plans. You're going out again next year?
yeah, this whole thing was just kind of like an experimental thing to see what was going to happen. I was fully prepared for it to be a 1 year deal, and if it didn't work, I would just go back to a desk job and like local touring. But no, the opportunities have shown themselves, and yeah, looks like I'm ready to go for a second season.
So what are some things you learned this year that you're going to change for next year, or some things that you might tell somebody who's going to be going out for the first time touring?
Oh man, you have to find a way to keep it fun. Like you're going to compete at a high level week in and week out. And it, one missed putt could be the difference in a couple $100. And that can be nerve wracking. But if you're able to go out and still like play casuals, go to leagues, and just like meet some locals and have fun, I think that goes a long way. Obviously, you have to find like hobbies away from disc golf to do and still be competitive, just because that's kind of like in our nature to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, just remember to have fun. Be prepared to make sacrifices. I don't know. It's a lifestyle that's not for everybody, but there's a great deal of freedom that comes with it, and I feel like that's worth it.
Very cool. Very cool. So where can people follow you the rest of the season and next season to see the journey?
Yeah, for sure. Instagram is at Zagonage, Zagonage, and then TikTok is kind of a new platform that I've been experimenting with this year. Started on February 1st, which was like the first day of the tour, and I've just kind of been messing around with all that good stuff since then. And that's Chris Zagone, or I think it's Zagonage. The same thing there. So I try to keep it the same across all platforms. But yeah, no, I want to say thanks again for having me on, and thank you for so much for everything you've done and helping promote Westside. I feel like you've been a welcome. I don't know. It's been like a jolt of energy as far as like promoting Westside. I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun. It's been cool. Cool project working on. So I'm glad it's been received so well, and thank you for saying that. And yeah, thank you for coming on episode 1. Thank you so much. Any last things you want to add, plug, or say?
Throw Westside, download Perfect Putt 360. Later.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Westside Discussion Podcast. Thank you to Chris for joining me today. Thank you to our sponsors, Mando Discwear and Champ Cap by Putt Confidently. Our theme song is What Would You Be Like by Akira the Don. We'll continue the discussion next time.